We are on part 1, preparation for personal transformation. What is real? Most of us are confused about what is real. Even though we sense there is something more, we attempt to settle for a reality based exclusively on feedback from our physical senses. To reinforce the reality, we look to what our culture defines as normal, healthy, and therefore real. Yet, where does love fit into the scheme of things? Wouldn't our lives be more meaningful if we looked to what has no beginning and no ending in our reality? Only love fits this definition of the eternal. Everything else is transitory and therefore meaningless. Fear always distorts our perception and confuses us as to what is going on. Love is the total absence of fear. Love's natural state is one of extension and expansion, not comparison and measurement. Love, then, is really everything that is of value, and fear can offer us nothing. Although love is always what we want, we are often afraid of love without consciously knowing it. And so we may act both blind and deaf to love's presence. Yet, when we help ourselves and each other let go of fear, we begin to experience a personal transformation. We start to see beyond our old reality as defined by the physical senses. And we enter a state of clarity in which we discover that all minds are joined, that we share a common self, and that inner peace and love are in fact all that is real. With love as our only reality, health and wholeness can be viewed as inner peace, and healing can be seen as letting go of fear. Love, then, is letting go of fear. Replaying the past. We all manufacture our own dust and static that serve only to interfere with seeing, hearing, and experiencing love within ourselves and others. This self-imposed interference keeps us stuck in an old belief system that we use repeatedly, even though it doesn't get us what we want. The mind can be thought of as containing reels and reels of motion picture film about our past experiences. These images are superimposed not only on each other, but also on the lens through which we experience the present. Consequently, we are never really seeing or hearing it as it is. We are just seeing fragments of the present through tons of distorted old memories that we layer over it. If we are willing, we can, with increasing effectiveness, use active imagination to wipe away everything from those old reels except love. This requires letting go of our past attachments to guilt and fear. Prediction versus peace. Sometimes we put more value in predicting and controlling than in having peace of mind. At times, it feels more important for us to predict that we are going to be miserable the next moment and then find pleasure in being right than to have true happiness in the present moment. This can be looked upon as an insane way of trying to protect ourselves. It produces a short circuit that confuses pleasure with pain. We often believe that the fears of the past can successfully predict the fears of the future. The results of this type of thinking are that we spend most of our time worrying about both the past and the future, creating a vicious cycle of fear, which leaves little room for love and joy in the present. Choice for reality. We can choose our own reality because our will is free. If we wish, we can choose to see and experience the truth. We can experience the truth of our reality as love. To do this, we must, each instant, refuse to be limited by the fearful past and future, and by the questionable realities we have adopted from our culture. We can choose to experience this instant as the only time that there is, and live in the reality of now. Because our minds have no boundaries, they are actually joined. Our minds, in fact, have only the limitations we place on them. For example, when we see value in making a fearful past real, we limit our minds to using it as our reality. As a result, our minds can only look fearfully at all that is to come and cannot pause for an instant to enjoy the peace of the present. When we use such words as can't and impossible, we have imposed the limits of a fearful past on our lives. Singleness of goal. Peace of mind as our single goal is the most potent motivating force we can have. To have inner peace, we need to be consistent in having peace of mind as our single goal. Instead of having a single goal, we are all tempted to try to juggle multiple goals. Juggling can only serve to deflect our focus and increase our conflict. We can achieve consistency in keeping this single goal in mind by reminding ourselves of the singleness of purpose we would have if we suddenly found ourselves drowning in the ocean. We would, in that situation, put all of our attention into the single goal of staying afloat and breathing. Peace of mind through forgiveness. With peace of mind as our single goal, forgiveness becomes our single function. Forgiveness is the vehicle used for correcting our misperceptions and for helping us let go of fear. Simply stated, to forgive is to let go. Our first step in mind retraining is to establish peace of mind as our single goal. This means thinking of ourselves first in terms of self-fullness, not selfishness. The second is forgiveness. Many of us become frustrated when we make the mistake of trying to love others as the first step. In light of our past distorted values and experiences, some people simply seem unlovable because of our faulty perception of their behavior. It is difficult to love them. When we have peace of mind as a single goal, we can then take the next step, forgiveness, and choose to see others as extending love or being fearful and calling for help in the form of love. With this new perception, it becomes easier to give both total love and acceptance to the other person, and therefore to experience inner peace at the same time. Other people do not have to change for us to experience peace of mind. Mind as split. It may be useful to think of the mind as the film, the camera, and everything else involved in movie production. What we experience is really our state of mind projected outward upon a screen called the world. This world, and those in it, become the mirror of our thoughts and fantasies. What the mind projects becomes our perception, which limits our vision as long as we hold on to it. The mind functions as if it were split. Part of it acts as if it were directed by our egos, and part of it by love. Most of the time, our mind pays attention to this pushy pseudo-director that we call the ego, which is simply another name for fear. The ego directs the movies about separation and conflict, although it makes them appear as if they were the realization of our romantic fantasies. It directs movies that project the illusions that we are all separate from each other. Our true director, love, does not project illusions. It only extends the truth. Love directs movies that unite and join us to one another. The mind is actually the director, producer, scriptwriter, film editor, cast, projectionist, audience, and critic. The mind, being limitless, has the capacity of changing the movie and everything about it at any time. The mind has the power of making all decisions. The ego part of the mind acts like a curtain of fear and guilt that blocks out love. We can learn to direct our minds to open the curtain and reveal the light of love that has always been there and remains our true reality. Themes to live by. In making practical application of the material covered in this book to everyday solutions, it will be helpful to keep the following underlying themes in mind. Number 1, peace of mind is our single goal. Number 2, forgiveness is our single function and the way to achieve our goal of peace of mind. Number 3, through forgiveness, we can learn not to judge others and to see everyone, including ourselves, as guiltless. Number 4, we can let go of fear when we stop judging and stop projecting the past into the future and live only in the now. Number 5, we can learn to accept direction from our inner intuitive voice, which is our guide to knowing. Number 6, after our inner voice gives us direction, it will also provide the means for accomplishing whatever is necessary. Number 7, in following one's inner guidance, it is frequently necessary to make a commitment to a specific goal, even when the means for achieving it are not immediately apparent. This is a reversal of the customary logic of the world and can be thought of as putting the cart before the horse. Number 8, we do have a choice in determining what we perceive and the feelings we experience. Number 9, through retraining of the mind, we can learn to use positive, active imagination. Positive, active imagination enables us to develop positive, loving motion pictures in our minds.